Welcome to the channel. I am Archangel Chadley. Well, with about 47 million pioneers mining across this planet, and I think only a few million left to KYC, this is step number 7 to transferring to the mainnet. So that way whoever's left can see in here what the contract language is. So they'll be ready to zip through and transfer to the mainnet, and we can get this on the road. Best of luck to you and me. Where's that? Step 7. Sign acknowledgement to receive tokens. Yeah. Let me get my face up here now. Pi Network acknowledgement to receive tokens. The recipient receipt of Pi tokens. The tokens by the recipient is subject to the accuracy of the following representations and warranties, as well as the release. Recipient hereby represents and warrants as follows. A. Use of tokens. Recipient is acquiring the tokens for the exclusive purpose of using the tokens for recipient's own account, not as a nominee or agent, and not with a view to resale, speculation, or investment, and recipient has no present intention of selling, granting any participation in, or otherwise distributing the same, and is not otherwise acting as an underwriter, dealer, or other person participating in distribution of tokens. Recipient has no expectation of profits from acquiring the tokens. Recipient understands that any liquidity for the token or ability to resell the token may be limited, and that it should not be acquiring the tokens with the expectation of reselling at a profit. Recipient understands that the tokens are designed solely for the intended use on the Pi network. The tokens do not represent a right to any income stream, distribution, profit share, or other form of pecuniary reward of interest. B. Prohibited participants. Recipient is not I. 1. A citizen or resident of the geographic area in which use of cryptographic tokens is prohibited by applicable law, decree, regulation, treaty, or administrative act. 2. A citizen or resident of or located in a geographic area that is subject to U.S. or other applicable sanctions or embargoes. 3. An individual or an individual employed by or associated with an entity that is identified on the U.S. Department of Commerce's Denied Persons of Entry list, the U.S. Department of Treasury's Specially Designated Nationals or Blocked Persons lists, the U.S. Department of State's Debarred Parties list, or the sanctions list adopted by the United Nations and the European Union. To such extent, such sanctions are extended by the UK government to its overseas territories, as such lists may be amended from time to time. Pi Network may, in its sole discretion, reject or approve any recipient, and will, in its sole discretion, determine the jurisdictions where potential acquisitions may be made. C. Restrictions on transfer. The tokens are not intended to be securities, but there is substantial uncertainty as to the securities classification of digital assets at this time, and no offer, sale, or distribution of the tokens has been registered with the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC, or any other authority in any state or other country or jurisdiction. If the tokens are deemed securities, they may be subject to restrictions on resale and other requirements. The tokens may not be transferred other than in compliance with the applicable law. The recipient carried the tokens solely through mining contributions and was not offered or sold the tokens directly or directly or indirectly by means of any form of general solicitation or general advertisement, including 1. Any advertisement, article, notice, or other communication published in any newspaper, magazine, or other similar medium or broadcast over television or radio, or 2. Any seminar or other meeting whose attendees had been invited by general solicitation or general advertising. D. Recipient sophistication and access to information. Recipient has sufficient knowledge and understanding of cryptographic tokens, token storage mechanics, such as token wallets, blockchain technology, and appropriate security protocols and financial and business matters to understand and appreciate the risks and implications of acquiring the tokens. Recipient has obtained sufficient information about Pi Network and the tokens to make an informed decision to acquire the tokens. E. Compliance with law. Recipient's receipt and any prospective usage, sale, or transfer of the tokens complies with the applicable law in recipient's jurisdiction, including but not limited to 1. Legal capacity and any other threshold requirements in such jurisdiction for the receipt, usage, sale, or transfer of the tokens, and entering into contracts with company. 2. Any foreign exchange or regulatory restrictions applicable to such receipt, usage, sale, or transfer. And 3. Any governmental or other consents that may need to be obtained. F. All our favorite, tax. Recipient understands that recipient bears sole responsibility for any taxes as a result of the matters and transactions pertaining to the tokens and any future acquisitions, ownership, use, sale, or other disposition of tokens held by recipient. Recipient will comply with any applicable tax obligations in its jurisdiction arising from recipient's acquisition or use of the tokens. Recipient understands that recipient should consult recipient's own tax advisor regarding implications of the treatment of the tokens under applicable tax law, and is relying solely on recipient's own tax advisor with respect to the tax implications of the acquisition, ownership, and disposition of the tokens. Oh, release. Recipient, on behalf of itself and its successors, assigns and other legal representatives, hereby absolutely, unconditionally, and irrevocably releases and forever discharges Pi Community Company Social Chain Incorporated and the Pi Network, together the company, and each of its past, present, and future affiliates, owners, members, directors, managers, officers, employees, consultants, representatives, and each of their successors, assigns, and representatives, the releasees, from any and all claims, demands, proceedings, actions, causes of action, suits, orders, obligations, contracts, agreements, executions, judgments, duties, debts, and liabilities whatsoever, whether known or unknown, suspected or unsuspected, both at law and in equity, which recipient now has ever had, or may hereafter have, against the releasees arising from or related to the tokens, including the company's provision thereof to recipient. By clicking on the I accept button below, you A. acknowledge that you have read and understand this acknowledgement, B. represent and warrant that you have the right, power, and authority to accept this acknowledgement, and C. accept this acknowledgement and agree that you are legally bound by its terms. If you do not agree to these terms, please select the I decline button below. If you do not accept these terms, you may not receive Pi on Pi mainnet blockchain. Date today. Hit I accept. At least that's what I'm doing. That's not advice. Pick what you need to. You hit one button, and then automatically after this, step 8, tokens begin to transfer to mainnet. Well, pioneers, good times are coming. Love y'all.